Hey, what is up guys, Zero here. Welcome back to another Lorcana video. Today we have game 2 of League Week. In this game we are up against a good friend of mine piloting Ruby Amethyst, the king of the format, of every format. He is going to be on the left, and of course we are once again piloting Sapphire Steel on the right. Decklist is below as well as on the screen as always. We are still going to be running with the Detective Mickey build that we saw in the last video. And if you guys have been enjoying the video so far, do consider subscribing if you haven't already. A good amount of y'all aren't, and I would really appreciate the vote of confidence. That all being said, let us hop straight into the game. So going against Ruby Amethyst, this is a deck we have just recently started teching really heavily against. That's because I've been encountering them a lot recently in the local scene. So hopefully this will be a good time to kind of show off that the techs we did pay off. But yeah, for our first turn, we just ink our Tragic Hero Beast and pass the turn. We did not find any of our Popsicles or Photospheres, and our opponent plays Trinabog's Followers in response on turn 1. And yeah, I'm kind of just showing off my hand here just so you guys can kind of see what I have there. And when all is said and done, I do have a pretty good hand. I have like Detective Mickey, I have Fishbone Quill, Rise of the Titans, Baboom. Oh, I just dropped the card there. But yeah, I'm forced there to ink Rise of the Titans. I think because I don't want to ink my Quill, I don't want to ink Baboom in case Flynn Rider comes down on 2. That's really our only answer on there. But we didn't have any other 2-drops, so we didn't have Shmi or anything like that. So didn't have anything to play, didn't want to Baboom the Trinabog's Followers. So we just passed the turn after unfortunately having to ink Rise of the Titans just because I wanted to keep all my other cards. Generally, you do want to try and keep the Rise of the Titans in your hand, since it answers Queen's Castle, which is really hard to play against as blue steel in my opinion. But yeah, we also had an extra harem in our hand, so after my opponent quests and plays Madam Mim Snake, we go ahead and ink the extra harem that we draw since we already had one, and we go ahead and play our Quill out and pass the turn. And right now it looks okay for us. My opponent did not have a turn 2 Flynn Rider, which is really nice. Just having a Mim Snake on the board is generally kind of a good board state for us. And on turn 3, my opponent's going to play Sisu, which usually combined with Flynn tends to be a problem. But honestly, without Flynn there, I'm not too worried about it. I think I'm just going to keep on playing, yeah, just playing my game. And right now for our game, we have Fishbone Quill out, and we do have a whole new world in hand, so we are going to work towards that. We're going to try and get our entire hand out there, use it all for ink, and eventually get to a whole new world where we can get the replenish. So the goal here was to play Cogsworth so he can sing it, but when my opponent hits 4, he gets me with the Bee King Undisputed. A very good answer to Cogsworth, unfortunately. It was, yeah, I wasn't thinking about that card, unfortunately. But no big deal. We are just going to keep to our game plan. Unfortunately, we have to hard cast our whole new world with no singer, but we are still going to, of course, go through with it. Very good play to replenish our hand now that we have emptied it. And see some new cards and hopefully have some that we can play for this 3 ink that we have left. But yeah, on 1 we find our Popsicle, and we also have 2 leftover ink to play our Shmi, and overall not a bad play. Losing Cogsworth really sucked, but being able to refresh our hand and get a Shmi out, get a Popsicle out, it all ended up working out in my opinion. But yeah, my opponent unfortunately also gets his own new hand. I think we got some good cards out of it though. We got a Queen's Castle and whatever else was in there before we hit the whole new world. But yeah, now my opponent does finally find his Flynn Rider, the card I've been scared of for the entire game up to this point. And his Sisu is pretty strong right now because I just replenished my hand full of cards. So definitely hoping to have an answer against this Flynn Rider right here on my turn. But yeah, my opponent adds a Trinabog's Followers to his roster of characters. And yeah, he's just going to go ahead and quest with his Sisu and his Snake. I think he was debating whether he should quest with Sisu, because if I find a way to get rid of it, then he's not going to gain 3 lore off of Flynn Rider, so something definitely to be worried about. But I end up having Grab Your Swords anyway as an answer. We take out the newly played Flynn Rider and followers, deal 2 damage to everything else, and now his Sisu is within striking range. Yeah, I think he's definitely worried earlier about if we can get rid of Sisu, but he probably thought, oh, you know, Steel doesn't really have Rush, not much to worry about there. And if I do end up having to like Baboom or something into Sisu, then my Shmi was going to die anyway. So Flynn Rider was going to get his lore anyway, but I end up playing Grab Your Swords to wipe the board completely and bring him back to this state where he only has a snake. My opponent is at 8 lore while I'm at 0, but honestly that's not a high enough number for me to be worried about right now. I'm getting a pretty good state of board in my opinion because my Quill is out. I've been inking almost every turn, twice versus my opponent's 1, so I'm getting a good amount of ink cards, and yeah, I'm ramping pretty well. My opponent does play out a castle though, which would be a problem if I don't have an answer for it, so we're gonna have to hope that we get one. We did have to end up inking one of our Rise of the Titans earlier, which doesn't bode well, but we kind of just have to hope that we draw into one of our other answers, and my opponent doesn't find any more castles. We did end up discarding one of his castles too, so we're kind of on an equal playing field here, I believe. But yeah, it's hoping for a castle answer, because just having Mickey Detective on the board means that we probably can't defeat the castle this turn. We won't have enough for it, but yeah, for 5 I'm going to play another Cogsworth. This time we have the Mickey to protect him from Be King Undisputed or Tremaine, but as you can see right there, I do have the Rise of the Titans to answer that castle, so very nice. I think I still have an Avalanche left in this deck, so we're running low on answers. We just gotta hope there's no more castles coming out, because we still don't have much to challenge it with on the board at the moment. But yeah, we are going to pass back to our opponent with this, and a really passive play from my opponent. He is going to hard cast his friends on the other side, which I really like. In this position, we're seeing that yeah, I'm in a pretty good spot. He's gonna pull his snake back with Madam Mim Fox. I think just as a play, you know, he has ink, might as well play some cards and add a magic broom to that as well. And yeah, things are looking pretty good for me right now. I guess I can be worried about Be Prepared at this point, since my opponent has hit that 7 ink threshold is definitely a possibility. So I definitely don't want to flood my board too high, but you know, still want to put on some sufficient threats onto the board when I can. And yeah, we're gonna go for another Whole New World, and I decided to hard cast it here instead of singing it with Cogsworth, because yeah, again, I don't want to play too many more other characters onto the board, just because there is that threat, the looming threat of Be Prepared. So we kind of want to keep it light when we can, and Cogsworth is kind of more important, you know, standing up or even questing. I think getting me some lore is also helpful here. But yeah, we just want to put a sufficient threat on the board to kind of force the Be Prepared if we can, but also, you know, try and not overextend and lose our advantage here. But yeah, since we just did play a Whole New World, not really a big threat. We're not worried about losing cards that we can play, but you know, something to think about for sure. But yeah, my opponent is going to use his Mim Fox to sing friends on the other side, get 2 more cards, and he's going to go ahead and quest with his broom. And once he turns 7, I already know it's coming. I start to pick up my cards. Be Prepared is coming, and I think we successfully did what we were kind of trying to do there. We're like trying to get the Be Prepared out with as few threats getting taken out as possible. So I think that ended up going pretty well. But yeah, we are going 1 lore into 9, but with an empty board and a bunch of ink. Really good spot for us to be in, I think. But yeah, for 2 ink, we are going to play Shmi. For 7, we are going to follow it with a Lucky Dime, and then use 2 more to get the 2 lore off of the dime. And I think this really illustrates how Shmi is a really good character for this deck. because like on the turn where I'm playing Lucky Dime, he is only 2 costs. I can cheat him out really easily and then just use the dime on him for an easy 2 lore. Most things, you know, just giving 2 lore for the dime is already very worth it. So being able to do that on the same turn as dime was really good. We're gonna get like a popsicle out also and some more extra ink, but yeah, we see on my opponent's turn he is going to get out one of his castles, another castle. So this is the 3rd one we've seen because we destroyed one and discarded one. And he's also going to get out a goat. Merlin goat is going to come out here. So we are kind of being put on a clock here. We have 2 passive lore getters being played by my opponent, and he's at 10 lore now. I'm still only at 3, so I'm gonna have to start finding some things to get out and get loring. I do get a harem out to draw, and I get a couple fortresses out, and I do notice at this point I'm getting a good stream of items out. So I'm really looking for Tamatoa. Tamatoa would be a really good card here, where especially now that I have dime out, he will definitely suddenly explode into the board and get me a lot. That would be nice, and that's what I'm looking for. I also haven't seen, I don't think I've seen any Tamatoas. Maybe I inked one earlier, I don't quite recall, but yeah, so we are looking for Tamatoa. We're hoping to get some use out of him before he gets wiped by some kind of removal for sure. We do use the dime here to get 2 more lore off of Shmi, so Shmi already paying dividends even without doing anything. But yeah, for another 5, we are going to play out Cogsworth. We are going to quest with the Shmi now that we have Cogsworth out and he won't hurt himself. And yeah, my opponent is going to get his 2 lore off of Castle here, and an additional draw off of it as well, since the goat managed to survive off of it. Not great to see, but still my board looks pretty good, and I have looming threats, so as long as my opponent can't gain lore very quickly, I'm not too concerned. Yeah, because if goat doesn't leave the field, if he doesn't get bouncing, then I'm not concerned there. Castle is kind of a concern if I can't get rid of it soon, but yeah, my opponent is going to follow with Flynn Rider and Sisu, so he gets that combo out again. He's also going to quest with his goat, and we are kind of looking at a threat here. We definitely have to remove Flynn Rider or have something with more strength than his current characters, because we cannot let him get another 3 lore off of Flynn Rider, especially when he's still close at 13. But I do find my Avalanche, another Castle answer finally. That is really good for me. So that was the 3rd Castle answer, which is of 3 that I ran, so it's kind of lucky that I found all of them in this game where I needed them. I inked the first one, but that was kind of, I feel like that was kind of required as well anyway. But yeah, we are going to play another Cogsworth, and we are going to Zeus out the... Sorry, we're going to Zeus the Sisu, and since he did quest with the goat, we are just going to attack it with Shmi and survive, since we have 2 Cogsworths out. Very nice combination for us. Maybe puts the question if the goat should have even quested, because the goat does have 4 strength. If it survived, Flynn Rider could have gotten another 3 extra lore versus the 1 that the goat got, or I guess 2 since the goat also left the field, so definitely gained an additional lore there. But yeah, there is a question on if maybe holding back would have been better there, because if I didn't have an answer to the goat then, and I didn't have anything stronger than it, then that would have been a problem. But yeah, anyway, my opponent is going to play out his Madame Medusa here. And I don't think that misplay, if you could even call it misplay, might end up mattering, because I'm getting really close here. I just need to get Tamatoa or something similar to really just edge the game out. I have a total of, I think, 3, 6, 7 items, so Tamatoa is already going for 8 lore if I do find it. So already looking pretty good. I'm wondering if I find it here. I do find it. Yeah, I was gonna say I remember finding it pretty soon, so yeah, I'm gonna look for the last item I need here, Popsicle, to get it up to 9 lore, and then playing the Lucky Dime gets me exactly enough to hit 20 and take the win. So yeah, really good first game, I think. We got lucky at some points, but also I think we played really well around some of the threats going into Ruby Amethyst. So yeah, it's a kind of gives me a vote of confidence that we played pretty well into this really hard matchup. I think this matchup is pretty difficult for Blue Steel in comparison to other ones, so I'm glad that we did play it well. But yeah, going straight into game 2, we are going to hard mulligan a lot of cards. We're keeping, I think, our Fortisphere, our Hiram, and something else that I don't remember, but I do remember we threw Ariel back into the deck. It is really late uninkable card, so we don't really want it right now. We threw Tinkerbell because Tinkerbell, and also we threw a Grab Your Sword because against Ruby Amethyst, while these cards can be useful, it's not something we need immediately, as opposed to if we're fighting aggro or something of the sort. Not something we're immediately looking for. It's better to look for maybe some earlier plays if we can. But yeah, going into the game, my opponent inks followers for another one, and I'm gonna head and ink my Item Breaker Beast, which isn't needed against Ruby Amethyst, to play out my Fortisphere. So already starting out very similar to last game. We didn't have the 1-drop cantrip last game, but you know, still kind of the same idea here. My opponent does onto though find his Flynn Rider, which I am not standing for. I dropped that Baboom on the mat. Like, no, absolutely not. We are not playing this game of Flynn Rider right now. So yeah, Baboom doing wonders. We don't want to even think about it. I know some people prefer you know, getting Argus out or Shmi out against the Flynn Rider, but I know Sisu's coming anyway. I don't want to play these games. I'd rather just not think about it, because I'm just concerned maybe I'll forget about him or something. Just, you know, get him off the board as soon as possible. But yeah, my opponent's turn on 3, Sisu does come down, so I'm glad we got rid of the Flynn Rider. And now that he's gone, I don't even have to worry. I'm, again, not worried about Sisu without the Flynn Riders, so we are just going to go for the Fishbone Quill, and we are again going to start ramping and hoping we get there. You know, we start to get into the end game here. But yeah, we do see on my opponent's turn going back, he does get to questing with his Trainer Box followers, and interestingly, even with my board empty, he does send it away to get the extra card draw. 2 reasons this could be the case. I am at 4 ink with a Fishbone Quill, which means I can hit Tinkerbell next turn, so that is a concern that I can get rid of the followers. But as we can see, my opponent does not ink on this turn, so I think the more prevalent issue is that unfortunately his hand is bricking where he is full of uninkables, is what I believe, because I don't see I think it's too early to be holding cards that you kind of want to be keeping here. So the fact that he's not inking means unfortunately he is set on uninkables on his turn, and there's going to be a concern here where I think he's looking and seeing he again does not have it. There's again did not find an inkable card in the many cards in his hand, very unfortunately, and I do have Hiram on the board, and I can get to, after drawing 2 last turn, I go ahead and quest right now and get another 2 cards, and it's gonna probably be seeing like I'm gonna be getting out of control very soon, since my opponent is stuck at 3 ink, and I am inking twice per turn with the Fishbone Quill, and I have my draw power off of Hiram. Yeah, it's not looking great. But yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and I decided to Zeus away to Sisu, just because since I'm kind of seeing that he's having issues getting things on the board, like I might as well just, you know, start making life a little harder here. But yeah, unfortunately, again, my opponent finds an uninkable again, which is just unfortunate. I think it's just really unlucky, because I don't think he even plays that many. He plays about as much as an average Ruby Amethyst player would play, I believe. So there's probably a thought to, you know, maybe, oh, like not playing some of those inkable cards out earlier if there was going to be a struggle like this. But you know, sometimes it's still pretty unlucky, I think, if you continue to find uninkables repeatedly. But yeah, since my opponent is here stuck on 3 ink and a handful of uninkables, I can just kind of try to start run away with the game here. I have my Quill that I have been constantly inking with. I have my Shmi, which I just quested with, and I just put my big item Ariel on the board. But yeah, my opponent finally finds an ink with in the form of a Queen's Castle, and he's gonna play out his rabbit. I think his hand is full of a few of those, if I am thinking correctly. But yeah, passing back to me. My opponent's still at 7 lore. I'm only at 4, but I think I've developed way too fast here. I've gotten away with this game. I think I'm already up to playing Automatoa and getting my Fortis Sphere out. No dime yet, but I don't know if it's even very much required in this game. I have a good amount of items. I'm going to quest with Ariel here. I'm going to go ahead and just quest also with Shmi, and probably also here. I start thinking here is like, do I want to use his effect or not? And I decide, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Why not? And going back to my opponent's turn, he has the ink to play, and he gets another card 2 ink, but it might be a little too late. Too little, too late here. He's going to play another rabbit, and I think he has a Be King Undisputed he's going to play right now with the rabbit and hit my Shmi because I get to choose. And yeah, I think the game's kind of over at this point. I have enough to lore for the win. So yeah, good game here. Unfortunate second game, but sometimes that is just how the cards go. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys next time. Ciao!